Welcome to the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College Chemistry Crash Course. Where today we shall talk about the nitrogen cycle and in part 2 talk about acid rain, a project created by Rachel Nahari, Liam Sanpri, Patrice Edward, and Tabina Fraser. In part 1, I shall speak to the nitrogen cycle and its 4 stages. Then Liam will speak to how we humans negatively affect the nitrogen cycle. Then in part 2, Rachel shall speak to acid rain, and then Patrice will speak on how acid rain affects the environment. As we should know, nitrogen gas makes up over 75% of our atmosphere. But surprisingly, we organisms only need 3% nitrogen in our bodies. It may seem insignificant, but we need it to make things such as amino acids, which make proteins, and we also need it for DNA, RNA, and ATP. But it's rarely in a form that's biologically available. So we're going to have to get it from plants, or organisms that eat plants, or organisms that eat organisms that eat plants. And I'm not saying to go eat humans. But why can't we just breathe this gas in? Which brings me to the explaining paper. We have gases such as hydrogen, which are quite easy to break apart with this one bond. Then we have oxygen with 2 bonds, which is just as easy. But then we see this crazy triple bond nitrogen, which is a pain in the butt to pry apart. So it needs to be fixed. The chemical process by which atmospheric nitrogen is assimilated into organic compounds, especially by certain microorganisms. Which brings us to the enzyme nitrogenate, which is the only biological enzyme which can change nitrogen gas into ammonia. This can also be done with things like lightning, the Haber process, and car engines, but we will talk about that a little later.
Words of wisdom. You should grow things such as clover plants and veins, because on their root nodules you're gonna love that bacteria.
And now that the nitrogen gas has been converted to ammonia, plants can assimilate it by converting it into nitrites and nitrates. They use the bacteria Nitrosomonas to change ammonia to nitrites, and then the enzyme nitrate oxoreductase to change. So that's basically what happens in nitrification. Plants change ammonium, which is ammonia and water, to nitrites. Now this can go on and on until this happens. And no, that's not me, I'm fine. It's just the step that leads to ammonification. This is just the conversion of waste products to ammonia, and the waste products can either be feces, urine, or dead plant and animal material.
Words of wisdom. You don't always have to remember the order of the nitrogen cycle because it all happens simultaneously.
But the ultimate stage is denitrification, where denitrifying bacteria converts the simple nitrogen compounds back into nitrogen gas, where it is then released into the atmosphere to start the cycle all over again. This bacteria is called nitrate reductase, and it is responsible for releasing the nitrogen back into the atmosphere. If you think about it, the cycle is perfectly balanced, just doing what it's supposed to do. But then we humans came along. No matter our age, our religion, our race, we just started to mess it up.